right, welcome back to the 2023 World Cup. We are here for the play-in round of brackets. Team Mexico in white versus Team African Nations in green. Both teams went 2-2 in pool play and finished third in their respective pools. So they're now in the play-in round of brackets. The winner will face Team USA in the quarterfinals of the championship bracket. Julia, what are we looking for from African nations in this game?
So from African nations, I want to see them continue to put out the energy that I saw from them in their last game against Team Norway. They were down, I think, by 6, caught the flag runner, and clawed their way into a victory. They didn't give up. They kept putting out 110% energy, every single one of them, and I want to see if they can continue that into this game.
And that the African Nations game this morning was technically the last game of pool play, but African Nations and Norway were both 1-2 in pools, so it was a de facto bracket game. The winner advanced to brackets, and the loser, Team Norway in this case, was knocked down in the consolation bracket. So African Nations already tested in a do-or-die situation. And Team Mexico took care of business yesterday as well, going 2-2 in their pool. The key in this game for them, I think, is going to be matching the physicality in the chaser game and seeing what their beaters can do. Big names to watch in the beater game: Chris De La Fuente, obviously, as well as Nunez. A couple really talented beaters, and if Team African Nations is not able to hang in the beater game, which is where they struggled in their losses to Team USA and to Team Belgium, Team Mexico might be able to start putting up points. If they can maintain parity in the beater game, then we've seen African Nations chasers are really, really good at finishing plays and coming up with stops as long as there's evenness in the bludger game. So two contrasting styles here. It has started to rain a little bit. Yesterday we had clear skies, a lot of heat, and including breaks for the intense heat yesterday, but opened up in the rain. What's the biggest problem for players when you're playing in the rain, Julia?
The obvious issue is it's going to be a little harder to catch the balls, especially once they start like slipping and sliding across this turf. The balls are only going to get wetter, and these passes are going to be harder to complete. So what I'm going to want to see from both teams are short, crisp passes, and I'm going to want to see quite a bit more driving from both teams than just taking the ball to the hoop.
So we're getting the starters now for Team Mexico. African Nations finishing their chant. Eric Reyes is going to start a keeper, longtime veteran of the sport, played for Team USA back in 2014, and has been a leader of this Mexican side for several years now. Chris De La Fuente, who we mentioned starting at beater, along with Rafael Manduano. In the chaser game, we have Jeanette Garcia, Roger Gomez, and can't make out the number of the players going to be running for the quad ball, but they're going to be running against Lee Hodge, the keeper for African Nations, and the rest of the starters for African Nations: Khalif Piper, Alex Obio-Banner at chaser, along with Trey Presley, I believe. And in the beater game, it looks like Tyler Walker is going to be one of the starting beaters. The second beater hasn't made their way out yet. Yesterday, Walker was mostly beating with Ren Morgan. We'll see if that's the case again today.
We're actually going to have a little bit of switch up in the chaser game from African Nations. Instead of Khalif Piper starting, we're going to have Darren Creary.
And that's a shake-up from the lines they used yesterday, but Creary, obviously, at 6'5", and a ton of muscle, is one of the biggest scoring threats down near the hoops, both for alley-oops and just being out physical players near the hoops. That gives them a different look on this line that has a lot of ball handlers and shooters in Alex O'Banner, Lee Hodge, and Trey Presley. A lot of different ways this African Nation teams can score on you. We'll see how Team Mexico looks to defend them.
Something I really want to see from Team African Nations, if they're going to be using Creary here, I saw a lot of Creary up top in front of the hoops yesterday, and although he's great there, he excels behind the hoops, where you can lob a pass up to him that's going to sail above the heads of everybody else, and he's just going to be able to bring that down into the hoop. He also has a pretty decent shot that he can hit from behind the hoop as well, that if he does miss, Hodge, Presley could sweep up. And I just really want to see him being utilized a little bit more behind the hoops.
Yeah, and it's a versatile offense because we saw Trey Presley, rather than going for alley-oops behind the hoops, playing behind the hoop slot and hitting shots from back there, a great shooter. So there's a lot of different ways the team can try to set out their offense. We'll have to see what look they go for here. The referees are concluding their meeting. The starters from both teams are set up. As mentioned, it's starting to rain, so I imagine we're going to try to get this contest underway as quickly as possible so the players just aren't standing out here getting more and more wet.
Mm-hmm.
And the final starter for African Nations is going to be Christian Barnes, starting in the beater game along with Tyler Walker. And I think this is one of the strongest groups African nations can put out. 4 of their very best chasers, 2 of their very best beaters. And, it's all business at this point, right? Whoever loses this, their run at the World Cup 2023 comes to an end. The winner advances to the quarterfinals for a chance to play Team USA, who African nations already saw in
Pool play
yesterday, and Team Mexico. A lot of these players play in USQ or MLQ during the regular season, the United States leagues, and so they're very familiar with the players on Team USA, and I'm sure would love to get a shot at them as well. So a lot on the line in this game, which looks to be getting started in just a few seconds here as the referees make their way out onto the fields.
I think no matter who wins here, both teams can put up a pretty good fight against Team USA. I think we saw that exactly from Team African Nations yesterday. Like you said, they faced off in pool play, where they put up one of the best fights out of any of the teams in that pool. And Team Mexico, they haven't had that experience yet, as we said, but we have quite a few people who have either been on Team USA or they faced off against Team USA players in the past and put up, again, a really good fight.
Yeah, and Team Mexico hasn't seen America this tournament, but played against them in the Pan Am Games, so there's definitely familiarity between those two teams. But for either team to worry about Team USA, they need to get through this game first, and this should be a highly competitive matchup.
And the rain's only coming down harder, folks.
Rain has picked up hard. Last referee has arrived and is heading out to the goal referee position, so we are ready to get this game started. Heavy downpour, the heaviest we've seen this weekend. Gray skies overhead.
Don't worry about us. We're under a tent, though.
Head referee is calling for both teams to be ready. We'll have the rush. It'll be De La Fuente and Walker rushing for the quad ball. And Hodge going up against Sanchez de Leon for the ball. And it's going to be Hodge winning the quad ball and Walker coming up with the dodgeball. So dodgeball control and the quad ball to African nations.
A great spot for African nations to start.
And they'll go to work right away. That's David handling the ball. Passes it off to De La Fuente. So De La Fuente will have the one lone bludger for the Team Mexico side, who are running a sort of hybrid zone here, a 1-2-1. Lee Hodge with the ball now. Going to go to Trey Presley on the wing. Presley back to Hodge. Christian Barnes trying to cause spacers. Presley gets the ball on a nice pass from Hodge and puts it right through the medium hoop. A nice drive and finish there. And African Nations takes a 1-0 lead. Mexico wants to answer right away. They're going to win bludger control off of some chaos in the beater game. De La Fuente with a great play there. Eric Reyes will show it down now for Team Mexico. Going to send it behind. Great juke. Got Trey Presley to jump out of their shoes there. And Garcia moving the ball around. Now hands it off to Sanchez de Leon. Back to Garcia. Ryder sends it behind. It's Darren Curry, intercepts the pass. And we mentioned his height as a factor on offense. As a factor on defense, it's even bigger. 6'5", able to get into a lot of pass lines. We have a lot of hands up from the officials, though. Yeah. So we'll get our first stoppage of the game.
Yeah, you cannot... I mean, we saw some great passing from Team Mexico there, but you cannot let that pass get anywhere near Creary if you don't want that immediately swallowed up.
Right. And it's going to be a foul in the beater game against Vargas, David. I think it's David Vargas gets the penalty for playing bludger game. So African Nations will have the quad ball. They have bludger control, and De La Fuente is the only beater in for Mexico now. So we'll see if African Nations can make a play up here.
Walker's going
to aggressively try to get in De La Fuente's way. De La Fuente beats Hodge from behind, though. But O'Banner keeps the play alive and is going to not be able to save the ball from rolling out of bounds. So Mexico gets the stop down a beater, and just a little too fast there, I think, from African Nations.
Yeah, that was a great beat by Team Mexico and a great attempt to keep the play alive from Obi. But it just didn't work out, which is unfortunate.
It is a downpour now.
Which means that the balls are only going to continue to roll on this as the ground gets more and more slippery.
And we saw on day one that this turf is a little slick. The rain is only going to make that worse. We'll see if that affects players' ability to drive in this downpour. Reyes handling the ball now. Overruns with Torres. Pass to Garcia. Beat from Walker misses. Garcia's going to drive in now. Pass it, but the pass is bobbled. Fakes Curry and shoots. And that is a good goal for Mexico. They tie the score 1-1. That's Sanchez de Leon who puts the ball through off a great feed from Garcia. 1-1 our score. Natasha Connerly subbed in for the first time at beater along with Tyler Walker. Hodge to Presley. And Creary is behind the hoops, something to watch. And it's going to go deep behind to Creary. Mexico's going to aggressively step to meet him. Ball's going to go to Hodge now. Has some space, but is going to stay patient. Now De La Fuente is going to charge Curry. Floats it back to Hodge. Now there's no beaters in the play for a moment. Hodge is met aggressively, though. Now has space. Goes for the pass to O'Banner. Sends it over O'Banner's head. O'Banner is able to save it. Breaks Garcia's tackle.
Oh, but
I think the AR is saying he stepped out of bounds, though. So good defense from Garcia is going to lead to a turnover. And with Vargas released from the box, Mexico is able to win dodgeball control back. So they have control. Score is tied 1-1. The rain is coming down harder than ever.
the weather knows how dramatic this game is for both teams.
Here comes Reyes. He sees something he likes now, going in fast. Tries to spin through Hodge. Hodge brings him down hard. The ball pops loose, and it looks like Trey Presley is going to be first to the loose ball and passes it back to Hodge. So African Nation is coming with a stop there. Reyes wanted to test Hodge. Hodge gets the better of him there. Here comes Reyes to try to poke the ball out, but he's beat out by Tyler Walker. And now African Nations will get to work on offense. Curry is immediately beat by De La Fuente. They don't want him to get anywhere near those hoops.
And I don't blame them.
Here comes Walker and Connerly. Looks like they're going to try to isolate one of these two beaters. Ball goes back to Curry up top. Presley is chased out. Bludger loose on the ground. Curry floats it behind to O'Banner. Dodges the beat, but can't come up with the ball. And that's going to be another good stop by Garcia, who's made two good stops behind the hoops early in this contest. Here comes Reyes in transition. Walker gets the ball relayed from Connerly, and now that'll slow down the Mexican attack. Ball's going to go to Sanchez de Leon now. Pass over the top is alley-ooped in. Gomez goes for a volleyball-style tap through the hoop. And we've got a stoppage from the referees to discuss. Had almost no time to get that shot off, so instead of even catching the ball, just goes for the tap through volleyball style.
That was a beautiful control play there by Team Mexico. And Team Mexico is absolutely hype about that play.
Yeah, their bench and the fans very excited about that play. I think Darren Creary is also possibly going to get a yellow card for making contact in the air with Gomez Torres.
The goal will be good.
Because of the goal being good, Creary will be released immediately. It's just a yellow card.
Yeah.
So I'll make the score 2-1.
That will make the score 2-1 in favor of Team Mexico.
Off of this play, bludger control should end up in the hands of African Nations.
And it does.
Connerly will retrieve the loose ball. Walker will keep Vargas away from them, and that'll allow African Nations to get to work on offense. Some subs in the game. Zach Armatrading, who had the game-winning goal against Norway in a chaser, along with Ty Bird, Quincy Hildreth. It's Bird handling the ball now. Big beat from Christian Barnes. Now there's space for Bird to go to work. Draws one beat, gets it to Quincy Hildreth. All the bludgers on the ground. Here comes Hildreth. Floats it. The shot is going to hit the rim and not go through. A good look there. Hildreth with the great pass.
We've got hands up by the ARs, so we're going to have a little stoppage. We do have a switch up in the African Nations beating game as well. Connerly subbed out for Barnes.
And that was Tyler Viega, who was in the right spot there. And I think, as we mentioned, with the rain, not able to grip the ball as well as they liked, and the shot didn't have enough heat on it, and that's why it hits the rim and just doesn't go through. So a good offensive set from African Nations, but the finish just isn't there. 2-1's our score. Discussion between the Team Mexico coaches, players, and the referees. No calls made, so ball in the hand of Reyes again. Mexico holding on to a 2-1 lead. Subs in the game. We're going to see Roja for the first time as well as Estrada for the first time. Overlap by Reyes. De La Fuente guarding him, trying to create some space. Hildreth right at the keeper's zone line. Another top-notch point defender. Bird is beat. Here comes Reyes. Floats the pass over the top. Unable to be handled behind the hoops, and that should be a stop for African Nations. After the pass was bobbled, Zach Armatrading was able to deflect it to Viega, and they get the stop. One bludger relayed back from Mexico. Bludger control with African Nations. Hildreth pushing the pace. Now wants to slow it down and work the half-court set. Hildreth directing traffic. Longtime teammates with Tyrell Bird in the regular USQ season. Gets it to Viega now. Viego's back to Armor Train. Armor Train with space now. Breaks one tackle. Match strong by Estrada, though. Now breaks another tackle. Big poster dunk over Eric Reyes, and that's the Zach Armitrating special.
Zach Armitrating currently this summer for the New York Titans in MLQ. An incredible driver, can get to the hoop 9 times out of 10.
Viego's aggressively going to meet Eric Reyes because there's no beater support from Mexico. And now here comes a press from African Nations. Reyes is just going to send the ball deep. And Armitrating is there to break it up. So African Nations gets the turnover, and here comes Armitrating in transition. One beater back, but a lot of chasers for African Nations. Armitrating goes for the shot. It's no good. Ty Bird not quite able to save it, but we're going to have some sort of a card. And it's going to be contact from behind, I believe, on Estrada. Tried to wrap Armitrating there, and that caused him to miss the shot, but Armitrating will get the ball back.
And this is going to be a good look for Team African Nations. The one thing they have to look out for is De La Fuente with the dodgeball right on that hoop. However, Armitrating's got 3 teammates to help him out right there.
Look for De La Fuente to hard pump fake to try to draw the pass and then turn around and try to beat on the pass. So Armitrating should just take the space. If De La Fuente doesn't actually throw, shoot. And if he does throw, pass. Fakes the beat, just as we mentioned, but Quincy Hildreth dodges the beat, but it goes to Eric Reyes. So De La Fuente, veteran move, pump fakes hard, gets the pass he made, and then throws at the receiver, and the ball is going to turn over to Mexico. Another stoppage to discuss from the referees, though. 20-20 our score. Game time roughly 6.5 minutes.
That is the tricky thing as a chaser when you're trying to get to the hoops, is deciding whether or not that beater's actually going to throw at you. And when you've got someone with years of experience pump faking, they can sell it really well, just like De La Fuente did there.
Well, in a drill that so many college teams run when you're first learning the sport is 2 chasers playing against 1 beater in a situation just like that. And every coach is going to tell you, draw the beat and then make the pass. And Armitrating tried to do the good fundamental play. De La Fuente just sold the pump fake so well that he didn't actually let go of the bludger when Armitrating thought he did, and that's why he's able to make that hard beat at Hildreth and cause the turnover. So discussion between the referees, I think, about at what point there's going to need to be a delay for the weather. Sounds like we're going to keep playing. But this is one heck of a torrential downpour we've got right now. Sunny skies all day yesterday, not to be today. So, ongoing discussion between the coaches and the referees. Estrada has 50 seconds on their penalty still, so Mexico got the stop. We'll still have to kill the penalty. And we'll see if African Nations, who will still have bludger control, works to run another aggressive press like we saw in that last play that set up Armitrating's transition run. 20-20 still the score. We're getting ready to resume. De La Fuente is going to sub for another very experienced beater, Baldemar Nunez. Reyes still handling the ball, hasn't subbed yet this game. I expect to see a lot of Eric Reyes in this game. African Nations is set up in a bit of a hybrid 2-2 with Ty Bird marking a chaser behind, and Reyes is going to try to float over, and Ty Bird is there to knock it down. That's exactly why African Nations went to that split zone, to take away that passing option. Here they come in transition. Only 1 bludger back from Mexico. Ball's passed to Armitrating. He's going to be first to lose ball. Guarded by Sam. Armitrating with some space now. Going to try to test Reyes. Go for the shot. And he hits it. That is a signature Zach Armitrating floater. Gets everyone looking at the big driving body and then just softly floats it through the middle hoop. Fantastic. African Nations takes their first lead of the contest, 30-20. And here's another aggressive press. Sam's beat is blocked by Reyes. The second one hits, though.
A little bit of a discussion between Reyes and the ref right
now. I think
Reyes
blocked Philip Sam's initial beat attempt, but Sam recovered the block beat and then beat Reyes in the legs, and Reyes kept playing. So we'll see if it's going to be a turnover or a card to Reyes.
It's going to be quad ball on the ground.
So Reyes beat quad ball on the ground, and Villegas should be able to just pick this up. Villegas going to have it in hand. Reyes is beat, so Villegas should be able to run right to the hoop and score. dodges a beat, puts it through.
Right through.
And that's 40-20 in favor of African nations. And defense into offense has been the key for African nations claiming this lead.
We've got some communication from the IQA staff. There's going to be 2 minutes left to decide whether the teams want to delay this game due to the weather.
Carlos Prado's handling the ball now for Team Mexico. Another very experienced chaser.
Both teams have agreed to play through the 15-minute heat warning.
Okay.
Okay.
No heat warning in this game due to the rain. I think everyone feels pretty hydrated. And the pass is tipped at the hoops by Arma Trading. Quincy Hildreth comes up with the loose ball, and here's another chance to run for African nations. Here comes Hildreth, where he's most dangerous in the open field. Hit hard! Long wrap, but it's going to be from behind. Carlos Prado with a huge hit on Hildreth, but Hildreth had him beat by maybe half a step, so it's going to be contact from behind, and Prado's going to get sent to the box. That is what you want to see, though. Not the yellow card, but like big physical hits in the open fields.
Sometimes, if you're going to play the physical game, in order to stop Hildreth, you're going to get a card in the process, and you can't hate the players for doing their best in order to stop them.
Yeah, and Prado makes Hildreth think about trying to go through him again with that one. But the yellow card is assessed. Here comes Hildreth, head of steam, passes to Arma Trading. Arma Trading bobbles the pass, with something we mentioned in the rain, and Team Mexico comes up with a stop, and smart yellow card by Prado to slow down the drive and eventually get to that. Now here comes Alvarez for Mexico. He's going to juke through Arma Trading. Great spin move. He loses the ball too, but Mexico comes up with the loose ball. That shot misses just barely, and Ty Bird's going to come up with a loose ball. The slippery conditions starting to have an effect on both teams here.
Yep. Team African Nations is off.
Here comes Bird, wrapped hard. Hildreth comes up with the loose ball, met by Alvarez. Another huge hit. Hildreth taking a lot of punishment in this game. Manages to fight free, one of the strongest drivers in the game. Beat. The pass gets off to Ty Bird. Ty Bird spins. And I think they're going to say beat before on Hildreth past the Ty Bird.
That was a great beat by Team Mexico, but...
And 2 great hits.
2 great hits. Just a great defensive stop all around there.
Folks, I think we said 5 times that the rain's gotten harder. It keeps getting harder. These players are being pelted by the rain right now. Here comes Alvarez. Arma Trading's beat. Alvarez sees a chance to rush. Met by Ty Bird. Brought down by Ty Bird. Beat made, but the ball gets out to Avia. Avia also brought down. Avia beat.
Oh my goodness.
Chaos in the game. Ball's on the ground. Quad ball on the ground. Dodge ball's on the ground. Scrum for the ball.
Sam.
Eventually Trey Presley comes up with it. Presley's also beat. Ball loose on the ground, and we're finally going to have a stoppage.
What a series of events we have there. I mean, you can just hear Ben chirping off every single beat, every single hit. It was an incredible play.
That was Team 2 teams who wanted it on that play.
They both, you can tell, they both really want this game.
Both teams excited, hyping up their benches. Not sure what's going to be discussed. I assume it's contact in one of the hits that was made there.
Which one, we're not sure, but we'll find out shortly.
Yeah, and so Alvarez is getting sent to the box for Team Mexico. He'll exchange the green headband with Carlos Prado, who will now serve as the keeper for Mexico. What was the call, John? I think some sort of contact foul.
Yeah.
Hard to hear in the rain. The result is Zach Armstrong's going to have the ball. One chaser in front of him. There is a beater behind him. Beat is relayed. Armatrain gets the ball knocked out of his hands by Prado. And now, coming the other way is Avia with only Trey Presley to beat. Presley makes it, and we have another stoppage.
An incredible, again, another great defensive stop from Team Mexico.
And then right on the other side, Presley makes the big wrap right before the stoppage is called.
Arma Trading, not an easy person to bring down.
Arma Trading looks hurt, so there's going to be a sub. Darren Creary is sent into the game for Zach Arma Trading, who looks pretty shaken up after that hit. So when we resume, Avia will sell the ball. Trey Presley and Alex O'Banner right on top of it with Quincy Hildreth far behind. That's going to be a hard play to win, but does have the pass across to Rebecca Roca, who could pass the ball right there and have a pretty good shot lined up. Would probably have to worry about Hildreth sneaking over to block the shot, but that could be the look we see here, or Mexico could just pull it back and slow down.
You can make that pass. Roca can pump fake Hildreth in order to get him to commit on that medium hoop right there, and maybe even get the shot off toward the large hoop in the middle.
Yeah, we'll see what they want to do here once we resume. Trauma training getting looked at by the medics. And players
We're going to have a little stoppage
are being
here.
pulled off the field.
We're not entirely sure if the game is going to be delayed for weather, but we will let you know as soon as we do.
Cross! So we'll pause the stream.
Live again. Say that again.
We are paused for 30 minutes due to the weather. We will be right back as soon as this
After
all
the 30
clears
minute
up
weather
in
delay.
30 minutes.
All right, we need you to write down some things.
I don't
We're
have
not
a
the
pen.
score table, they are.
No,
Oh, okay.
No. My stuff that I left here when I left, I have paper in it.
It got moved. We moved it under the table so it would get less wet. If you have a pen, we've got this right here
So
too.
write down who had what ball at this point.
Does anyone have a pen?
I've got a pen.
Like, we have paper, we just need a...
Damon, who had which ball?
Chris.
All right, Mexico. And
I'll write it for you.
Yeah, underneath.
Okay, go ahead.
Mexico has at least one dodgeball. They have one dodgeball here. I think two now.
And the
Mexico
quad
has two
ball right at the
dodgeballs.
hoops. Oh, but
Two
it'll
dodgeballs.
resume. It doesn't matter yet. So dodgeball.
Africa has 0 dodgeballs. Who had the quad ball? Never mind.
Mexico.
Mexico.
Mexico has the
Nations are making contact in it.
Okay.
Okay. Mexico, 2 dodgeballs, 1 quad ball. African nations, 0 dodgeballs.
That's it? Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, there's supposed to be more, but
yeah.
players already
Let's
went.
put the. You're supposed to have who's out there and all that stuff.
Yeah, but
Can we always just look back
Yeah, we
at
can
the
look
live
at the
stream?
we can look at the stream when it's time to resume if you want, Chris.
it's really not.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, okay.
There are things that matter.
Wherever you want to stay, that Clay.
Here,
Yeah.
I'll hold on to this.
Yep.
I have it on one place.
Oh,
and
there's
it's,
one unpossessed dodgeball.